All right. Let's get after it, rock stars. Today, I have an amazing video for you on a really cool concept about adding fractions. We're going to talk about mixed and improper fraction as well. Hey, do you know what you call a room that has no windows, no doors, and no walls? It's called a mushroom. All right, let's get after it. I can tell you're excited. Um, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Also, if you live inside a mushroom, let me know. That's a pretty cool thing. All right, let's get after this. All right, so today, like I said, we're going to work on adding fractions. This is going to include just your regular standard fraction. We're going to talk about improper fractions as well as adding mixed numbers, okay? This is like a very important concept for you to understand in math and something that's going to really help you as the years go by. So I just want to make sure we are dialed in and ready to rock and roll. Okay, so there's some keys to adding fractions, okay? One of the keys is cats, dogs, and cows. What? Cats, dogs, and cows? Wait till I explain this to you. It's going to be a rocking good time. All right, the next one is going to be what does the whole represent in this problem? So understanding, like when I'm dealing with a fraction, understanding that a whole could represent like the whole pizza or a whole classroom. And then what kind of number is on the bottom of the fraction that we're dealing with, okay? Um, and then the end of it is you always have to simplify. When you get an answer with fractions, almost always they want it in the simplest terms because that's an easier fraction. All right, so let's talk about these cats, dogs, and cows. Okay, so in fractions, you can only add things together that are the same things. You know, like I can't say, you know, you give me three, I have three cats, and then someone gives me four dogs. What does that equal? Seven cogs or seven dats? You can't add cats and dogs together. It's just not a thing. So in order for me to add things together, they have to be the same, right? So I'd have to add, someone if I had three cats and someone gave me four cats, I'd have seven cats. I had three dogs and someone gave me four dogs, I'd have seven dogs. So, what does that mean? So, in fractions, that thing that has to be the same is the denominator. So, we can't add, you know, when you think about it, like the reason I use cats, dogs, and cows is I can't add 3/4 to 4/12 because I can't add three dogs to four cats. Right? I can't do that. So, we want to make sure we understand that, and that there's a procedure that helps us understand how to get there. Okay. So we're going to try a few. And you're seeing the cow word up. Like, what does that mean? I'm going to get to the cow. Just make sure you pay attention. All right. So let's look at this. I have 1/8 plus 3/8. Okay. So remember, the things on the bottom, the denominators, have to be the same for us to add. So just replace it with one of those words. I have one cat and someone gives me three cats. What do I have? I have four cats. If the numbers on the bottom are the same, you just keep it that way. Okay, so I have 1/8, and someone gives me three more of those eights. I have 4/8. Okay, so remember I told you, what does our whole represent? It represents eighths. So if we're talking about a pizza, and we said I ate 1/8 of the pizza, and then I later on ate 3/8 of the pizza, how much of the pizza did I eat? Well, in this situation right here, we have our answer is 4/8. And remember, I told you that I wanted us to simplify. So to simplify means we put this in simplest terms. So is there a number that you recognize that will go into both of these numbers? Well, first question you ask yourself is, are they both even? And if they are, two will always work. But if you can find the biggest number that goes into each of those, your life is easier. So for four, we say find the greatest factor, the greatest common factor that they both have. So what are the factors of four? In other words, what numbers can multiply together to equal four? Well, 1 times 4 equals 4. And then 2 times 2 equals 4. So I put those up there. And then I say 8. What are the numbers that are multiplied by 8? Well, 1 always works, 1 and 8. And then, 2 times 4 works as well. So what is the greatest factor they have in common? Okay, the greatest factor that this group has in common is the 4. So let's divide both of those by that factor. Okay, because we're scaling it down and it'll still be the equal fraction. We're trying to find an equivalent fraction that's in simplest terms. So what is 4 divided by 4? Well, 4 broken into 4 groups is 1 in each group. What is 8 broken into 4 group? Well, there would be 2 in each group. So this is our answer. 1/2. Simplest terms. All right. Let's go to the next one. I have 1/4 plus 3/8. Uh-oh. I have 1 dog plus 3 cats. Can't add them together. So the first thing you look at when you have different, when I have cats and dogs, so I have cats on the top and dogs on the bottom, let's say, do I see a relationship between these two numbers? In other words, as I quickly look at them, do I see that one of them will go into the other? Okay. Will 4 go into 8 or will 8 go into 4? So we quickly look at it and say, you know what? 4, if I count by fours, if I know my multiples, 4, 8, boom, it works. So we can turn them into the same bottom denominator. So we have 1 cat and 3 dogs. Well, let's change them into eighths. This one we don't need to change because it already is eighths because you guys in your head said, I know 4 will go into 8. So what did I do to get from 4 to 8? I multiplied by 2. So if I multiply the bottom by 2, I also have to multiply the top by 2, okay? And what is 1 times 2? It is 2, okay? Now we have common, the bottom's the same. So now I have 2 dogs plus 3 dogs. Boom, what's 2 plus 3? 5. And we keep the bottom the same because I'm not changing those guys around. Now you gotta look at your fraction and say, am I done? Can I simplify it? Is there a number that will go into both of these numbers so that I can simplify? Well, the only factors of 5, whoops, the only factors of 5 are 1 and 5. Okay? So will 5 go into 8? Because 1 goes into everything. We divide both of them by 1, we're going to get the same thing. Will 5 go into 8? No, it will not. So then we are already in simplest terms, and this is our final answer. Okay, pretty cool, huh? So let's go on to the next one. All right, let's go on to the next one. Okay, now we have 2 6 plus 5 12s. Do you see a relationship? 2 cats plus 5 dogs. They don't match, so we got to do something else. Will 12 go into 6? No. Will 6 go into 12? Yes. We found a factor that will work. So we can turn them into the same denominators. 5 12s is equal to 5 12s. 6 times what equals 12? Well, 2. So we multiply the top by 2 as well. What's 2 times 2? It is 4. Let's add them up. What's 4 of these things called 12s plus 5 of these things called 12s? Well, stay the same. 4 plus 5 is 9. All right, now let's quickly look and see, can we simplify it? What are the things that go into the smaller number? 1 and 9. 2 doesn't go into it because it's an odd number. And 3 times 3 goes into it. I only have to write the 3 down once just because we're just trying to find out what the factors are. Now, will any of those numbers go into 12? Will 9 go into 12? No. Will 3 go into 12? Yeah, because the factors of 12 are 1 and 12. 2 will go into because it's an even number, 2 and 6. And then 3 will go into because 3 groups of 4 work. Uh-oh, I see a common factor. So let's divide them both by 3. Because that factor will go into both of them. That's what makes them common. 9 divided by 3 equals 3. 12 divided by 3 equals 4. Now we've got our fraction terms. So 2 6 plus 5 12s equals 3 4. All right. Look at this one. We got 2 cats and 1 dog. Will 5 go into 3? No. Will 3 go into 5? No. Moo. Problem. Now we got to find a dog. We got to find, I'm sorry, now we got to find a cow. We got to find a number that both of these will go into. So now we go and just use the multiples. Let's count by 3. Let's count by 3. I always take the smaller number first. It just helps that way. And I always like count, I just do like 5 of them first, and hopefully I don't have to go longer, but let's see. So let's count by 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay. And as soon as we see a number that they both have in their multiples, we want to find the least common multiple. Then we know what our new denominator is going to be. So let's count by 5. 5, 10, 15. Moo! We have an answer. 15, they both have in common as their multiple. So now let's put 15 as our cow. Now we can add cows together. What did I do to get from the 3 to the 15? I multiplied by 5. So the top I have to multiply by 5. That gives me 5. What did I do to get from the 5 to 15? I multiplied by 3. That means I have to multiply the top by 3. 2 times 3, 6. Now I can add them up. 6 plus 5 is 11, and we're talking about cows or 15ths. Keep the denominator the same. 11 only has, and we got to simplify, 11 only has 2 things that will go into it. 1 times 11. Will 11 go into 15? No, it will not. So this is our final answer. See how this works? So what happens if you add them together and you get an improper answer? So let's look at this one, real simple. We already have cats and cats, right? It's 5/8 plus 4/8. So our final answer is going to be in eighths, and we're going to have 9 on top. If you get to the point where you have an improper answer, you have to turn it back into a mixed number. Okay, so in this instance, we are talking about a fraction that is broken into eighths. So what is a whole if it's broken into eighths? So if we have a pizza that has 8 slices in it and I eat the whole pizza, how much of it did I eat? I ate 8 slices. So a whole would be 8 eighths, right? So let's get rid of a whole out of our 9 eighths. If I take a whole out of our 9 eighths, that would be 1, because we know we have an improper fraction because the number on top's bigger. So if I get rid of a whole, which is 8 eighths, there's my whole. If I took 8 eighths away from 9 eighths, how many eighths do I have left? Just one of them. So I have 1/8 left over. And you could also say, what is 9 divided by 8? Well, 8, so you take the top and you divide it by the bottom. 8 goes into 9 one time, right? 8 goes into 9 one time, and what's 1 times 8? 8. So now we subtract. What is 9 minus 8 is 1. So we have 1 left over. That's our numerator, and this is our denominator. You can do it either way. Most people like this because if you get to bigger improper fractions, it becomes a lot easier. You just divide by the denominator, so you figure out how many holes would go into it, and what is left over is your part of the fraction. That's how that works. But now, what if you got a situation where you got to find common denominators, right? So we have 3 and 8s. We have cats and we have dogs. Do they match? No, they don't. So can I find a relationship between them? Will 3 go into 8? No, it will not. So now we have to find a cow. So we take this. The first number we take is the 3, and we find its multiples. Okay. So we say 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Right? Coolio, we can do that. And then we take the bottom, which is the 8, and we multiply by that until we see something that they have in common. So 8, 16, 24, still don't see anything, 32, and 40. So we don't have anything in common yet. So we got to go back to the top and keep counting until we see one of these numbers show up. So we say 18, nope, 21, nope, 20, 24. Moo, I see a 24. So that means both of our denominators are going to be 24. Now we just got to figure out what to do. How did I get to this 24? Well, it's always going to be multiplying or dividing, so I multiplied by 3, which means I have to multiply the top of this fraction by. What's 5 times 3? It is 15. What did I do to get to 3 to 24? I multiplied 1. Sorry, it would be this. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. I multiplied by 8. So that means I have to multiply the top by 8. What's 2 times 8? It's 16. All right, now this is where it gets a little tricky, folks. Now we have to go back to adding our fractions together. Okay, so if I add my fraction together, I'm going to get, the bottom's going to be 24. And 16 plus 15. So you would say, what is 16 plus 15? 6 plus 5 is 11. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. I have 31. Okay. And then over here, what's 8 plus 4? It's 12. So when you have a mixed number, your fraction cannot be an improper fraction. So we have to go back and turn that into into a mixed number. So let's go over here and take 31 and divide it by 24. How many times will 24 go into 31? 1 time. So what's 1 times 24? 24. What's left over? What's 4 plus 1? Sorry, what's 31 minus 24? That would be 7. So that's our numerator, and our denominator stays the same. So this number is now 1 and 7/24. So we got to take that whole and do what with it? What do you think we're going to do with it? Well, it's a whole, and these are 12 holes. I'm going to add it to that guy. So now I have 13 holes, and my new part is 7/20. Kind of tricky. Takes a little while to do it, but I think you guys can do it. So let's dig in. All right. All right. So I think we're ready to go. This is going to be a kind of a tricky one for you. When is a door not a door? When it's ajar. Ajar, that means the door is open, but if you break it apart as a jar, that means it's not a door. It's good. Yeah, that was good. Ajar.